Yep. Give me a nod when you're ready.
Like
Shooter's ready. Stand by.
Hey everyone, this is Matt Goodlock from the 3GIQ podcast. I'm joined here with my co-host Frank Gow. We have a very special episode. We're going to be covering the Memorial 3-gun match. So we're going to be speaking to Eric Torres, the president. We're going to be speaking to Pat Ritzel. What's your position, Pat?
Honorary Committee Firearms Specialist.
Okay, we're going to be speaking to Austin Trockenbot, who's their operations officer. And then we're going to be speaking to Alex Goking because we also wanted to capture the competitor mindset going into a match like this. So when we first, I guess we'll first lead this off with, can everybody go around the table and kind of introduce who they are, the role that they play, and their background with 3-gun and Memorial 3-gun, and just kind of give us your background. Eric, if you could lead this off.
Absolutely. Hey, everyone. I'm Eric, the president of the Memorial 3-gun Foundation. Founded this in 2017-18 with our vice president, Bryce Lamlin. Me personally, I've been shooting 3-gun for about probably 7 years now, on and off with work as much as I can. And been doing it ever since. I love the sport and turned the sport into obviously a passion of mine. And then with mixing that into helping Gold Star families, it's a win-win, and it's a very passionate drive that I love to do.
Eric, if you could real quick, and if you're able, can you tell everybody what it is that you do for a living?
Yeah, currently I'm in the military, working with the special operations community.
Okay. Pat?
Hey everybody, I'm Pat Ritzel. I'm the Memorial 3-gun Honorary Committee Firearms Specialist. So basically, I'm responsible for everything firearms related for the honoree committee, so that the Gold Star family members, the families of the loved ones we honor on our stages every year. A little bit about my background: I'm retired from the military, did 14 years in special operations as a medic, and I've been in 3-gun for about 3 years. I participated in 19 as a competitor, volunteered in 20, and then came on the board for 21, 22, and currently. So, yep.
Austin?
Yeah, my name's Austin. I'm the director of operations for the foundation. So I do a little bit of revenue generation, and then I'm the liaison between the foundation and Zoo City, Griffin Group, Raven Advisory, everyone who helps put the match on for us.
Alex?
I've been in 3-gun for a couple of years in North Carolina, and my first year on the foundation.
No, appreciate you coming on, Austin. Alex?
Alex Goking, 7th COSC of the Marine Corps Shooting Team's 3-gun team. In other words, I do the admin work while competing. It's pretty rough. Matt, you know how that goes. Been doing 3-gun for about a year and a few months now, and was a competitor for the Memorial 3-gun match.
Very cool. And thank you guys for taking the time to hop on this podcast and be interviewed. My first question, and Eric, you already hit on this a little bit. You founded Memorial 3-gun in 2017. What was this mission statement? Has that changed throughout the years that it's been active?
So our current mission statement is pretty much, we obviously have a whole paragraph, but it's all in that first sentence. Our mission is to remember, honor, and memorialize fallen special operations through the world of competitive shooting. That pretty much sums up our entire missions paragraph in that one sentence. We've stayed true to that since the day we began. Before we began, though, it was me and Bryce just putting on local comps for guys at work. I'm sure you can kind of relate to this, Matt. You guys, we were instructors at the time. Myself was, Bryce was a student. and you don't keep up on your skills, right? So, and we saw that. So, in order to get the other fellow instructors at least somewhat keeping up on their skills, we put on competitive shooting events, 3-gun events, and it just grew from there. Mike Duskin, I know we've said this before, he was definitely a drive of ours to begin this. When I was an instructor, I lost 3 buddies, 2 buddies actually in Jordan, along with Jimmy Moriarty in Jordan. So there's Kevin McEnroe and Matt Llewellyn. All 3 have been honorees of ours, and they passed away while I was an instructor. At the same time, I was attending the Mike Duskin match, and getting out of the fight, you know, it sucks. You're not with your brothers downrange. You're just sitting behind a podium, feeling helpless. And seeing what the Duskin Stevens Foundation was doing with Mike, it kind of sparked that for me, and kind of it was kind of realization of I still can help my brothers in another way for the time being, and that's kind of what formed Memorial 3-Gun.
I kind of want to ask this. Did you ever expect Memorial to grow as large as it did?
You know, it's funny. People have been asking that, especially after the match, man. And no, like, I never in my wildest dreams thought we would be able to be where we're at now specifically, but be as big as we're at. I never thought that. I thought in 10 years we'd be maybe raising 100,000, like maybe. And that was a 10-year goal of mine. And we crushed that in 3 years. So that alone just kind of shows where my mindset was as far as the foundation and how big I thought it could be. Like I never predicted or even forecasted this to where our missions never changed, but our goals have changed. Obviously, every charity foundation you set, 3-year, 5-year, 10-year goals. And those have had to adjust drastically due to the rapid growth that we've had. Before, like I said, it was just raise $100,000 in 10 years, get, United States Army Special Operations Command, USASOC, involved in 10 years. And now after 5 years, we're starting to see that come into fruition a little bit. The deputy commander of 1st Special Forces Command came out. General Baudet, retired, came out and spoke at the event. So those are it's starting to come into fruition. And and then we're also in the Army. I don't know if you saw it, the Army.mil, the Army internet or their webpage.
Yep.
And we were featured in that. So again, never thought this would happen. I thought it was just going to be, a couple guys, and then all of a sudden we realized, we need help. And luckily we've had some outstanding board members, Austin, Pat, for example, on here with you today, to help get us to these positions. There's no way we could do it without these people, because there's so much that goes into this. And I know some of the guys have seen it now behind the curtains, and it's a lot.
So this is going to kind of go to you, Eric, and Pat, if you have anything to add to, since you have the background with losing friends, families, stuff like that. But and I can relate to this question as well, because I have my own thought process behind it. But where do you guys see that the service falls short in their support to Gold Star families, and how does the foundation cover these shortfalls?
So right off the bat, Matt, so I've noticed personally, being involved in all the memorializing of these soldiers, the military side of it, just seeing how they honor these guys, it's very military, which nothing wrong with that. Like, there's nothing, and the family attends, and they don't get to really speak how they feel or how these people, these soldiers, these men, women, like, again, I say it, husband, fathers, how they were. And I think that's definitely not a shortcoming that the military does, but there's a whole nother side that the civilian side doesn't see. When a soldier dies, they see their military picture. They see a soldier defending their rights, but no, there's so much more than that. Like, there are people too. They love fishing. They have daughters. So, you know what I mean? And that's what I want the competitors to see. I want them to see the military, yes, but I want them to see them as human beings. So I don't want to say a shortfall, but the shortfall that there is, and I've seen it firsthand with, I'm not going to, say too much detail on it, but people that don't pass away in combat-related incidences, like, true military definition of Gold Star family, somebody that's been killed in action. Our definition is different. So anybody that has not been killed in action, they're treated a little differently. They don't get the same benefits as somebody that was killed in action. I'm talking about the family now. So that's where we try coming in, to try helping that burden a little bit, financially, creating memories that they possibly couldn't create themselves by, for example, Disney World, sending the family to Disney World. We're looking at other options, maybe like Jamaica or something that just something
Special.
Pardon me?
Something special.
Yeah, exactly. And those are where, again, I want to say shortfall because the military does a great job as far as taking care of what they can, these families, but it's just going above and beyond for these families that they're well deserved.
Well, one of the things that I notice is like in the military, when you lose somebody, when you lose like for me and you, when we lose a friend that was killed in action or, that wasn't killed in action, somebody dies that you're aware of, it's the people that carry on the name. The military forgets about them. And I'll kind of bring a quick short story into it. I had a really good friend, Larry Philippon. He was killed in 2005. When we got back from Iraq, they had a big memorial service. And not to get into too specific details, but the company commander was the one who actually, our company commander was the one who actually bought the plane ticket for the family to come out to that memorial service. It wasn't the commander or anything like that. And like I said, I'm not getting into specifics, but they didn't get to speak at it. They just saw the memorial that we did for Larry. And then it was kind of like off to your own wins. Now, because we were friends with the family at that point, like we took them out to dinner and it was like everybody from the platoon. And, it's been up to us, to keep the memory alive. And I talk to Larry's parents all the time. And, they called me and messaged me whenever I retired. They, whenever it's the anniversary, whenever he passed away, we're sending each other messages. We're keeping his memory alive. And the military doesn't do that. I hate to say it, but we are a very large organization. And it was like, it's always going to churn and it's never going to remember everybody who gave back before. You have your heroes, your legacy guys, your John Bassalones who paid the ultimate sacrifice, and nothing against them. Like they did great things, but the regular guy, the guy who was killed in action, who nobody remembers, who doesn't have the accolades, their memory isn't kept around. And
100%, man.
And I think this is an amazing way to keep that person's memory alive.
And just
I got a
put that
strong
in context.
caveat for that. I'm sorry about that.
No, go.
Yeah, with what Eric said, like when you look on our website, if you've attended the matches, like every stage has the banner for that dedicated honoree for that year. And we do a really good job and we're getting better and better and improving and making leaps and bounds every year. It'll usually have either, on honoree side, dealing with these families, we ask, hey, if you want to send a cool guy photo, anything besides that typical in your dress uniform in front of the flag picture, like, and then on these posters, these bios we have, it's something from the family, more than just, name, rank, service number, and their dates of life. It's anybody that's been out there when I bring the honorees to that said stage is the Ghost Squad, the ROs, the competitors. They get to interact with our match and truly find out who it is. And just like Eric says, our definition, there's a lot of stuff that goes on when guys get back home. Like it's a rough life. And then also at our match, usually at headquarters, we have that honor wall, so other people can bring photos and stuff of heroes they know that just might not have been submitted in time for that year, and they can put their picture up there. So we try to get as much involvement in the true backstory of who these men were.
Wonderfully said. Alex, next question's for you. Was this your first time shooting Memorial 3-gun?
No, it was not. This is my second time doing it. I did the one last year when I first got on the team, and the match was second time, loved it. Freaking would do it again.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get some of the match specifics, but did you interact with any of the families that were there? And then what was your impression of what the foundation is doing to support those families?
Like, I think I was able to interact with one family. I believe it was Staff Sergeant Border's family on stage 2. Well, there was some attrition to our squad, so I was going back and forth, but I took some time to like shake hands with the family and said hi, kind of introduced myself, just to make sure they know that freaking yeah, we're shooting, but like we're not the stars here. We're not the star of the show. And your other question was freaking what was your other question?
Just what's your impression of like the support tendered to those families?
So this is like straight up like no lie, like I still haven't seen anything like it before. Like at the end, especially during the memorial ceremony, like I've never seen anything. I don't think I mean, I'm pretty sure there are events out there, but I mean, this is a 3-gun match, so this is the event that I'm most likely to go to. But I still remember last year's where like listening to the families get a good amount of time to talk during the memorial ceremony at the end, and they like share their lives, and it's like time is suspended for that moment, and you're just listening to them kind of like recount the life of their service member. And it's pretty wild. Like I said, like I mean, it's beyond anything I've ever seen before. So they do one hell of a job to like really be there for these Gold Star families. So it's a little wild. I remember my first match last year. I was like, whoa, what is going on right now? This is intense, like in the best way possible.
I'll kind of add into it because I did shoot last year's, and like, so I met last year, I think I met about 3 or 4 of the families, and the family that really stuck out to me the most was the Keegan Baker's family. And they, so I draw a lot of comparisons from my life and what I've seen with families and to like their family as well. So like I mentioned Larry Philippon, my friend who passed away, even though their son passed away, they became one of the strongest families I have ever met in my life. They did a Larry Philippon memorial fund for him and had a scholarship and would award money every single year. And you have the Keegan Bacon Memorial Fund, so just drawing those similarities and from my limited interaction with them and just kind of watching over time, because like I follow them on Instagram and Facebook and all that, and they are doing very much the same. They are, from my perspective, from the outside looking in, they like these families, they went through tragedy and they became stronger through that tragedy and have banded together and do good things in this world. And it's just this very emotional experience to go through. It's pretty amazing and pretty wild. Even through the tragedy, good comes out of it. I guess I'll lead this off with, and this is for you, Eric. You guys have the ambassador program. What is the goal of that program, and how many ambassadors are currently serving, and what are they expected to do on behalf of the foundation? And are you looking at bringing in more ambassadors? And I know that's like multiple questions all wrapped in one.
No sweat, man. That's a good question, dude, because we've been getting asked that quite a bit after every event. We were getting asked that because people were more interested into what they are doing to help the foundation. So when we first started this, we were trying to decide on what we wanted it to be. We started bringing on like your top shooters, right? Like your very, very good shooters we had as ambassadors, which obviously those bring attention. And then we sat down and kind of reevaluated that, because yes, that brings attention, but we're looking for the passion behind what we're doing. Like these good shooters, they were good, but some of them just didn't have the passion of what we were trying to do. So we reevaluated and sat down of what we want this to be. So in short, what the ambassador program is are shooters. So 3-gun, USPSA, PRS, it doesn't matter what format they shoot. If you were involved in competitive shooting, you can be an ambassador. What they do is they go out and shoot a match like they normally do. but they wear our logo. And what I mean by that is, there's jerseys out there. We have our own jersey made for ambassadors if they want to wear it. If they don't, and some have their own jersey, their own jersey that they have, they could put our logo on there. And that's not for everybody. Not everybody can do that. And what that does, it's a talking piece pretty much. Some competitors see that, they may ask, what is Memorial 3 Gun? Oh, I've seen that. Well, can you tell me about it a little more? And they're just representing the foundation in the community to help spread the awareness of what we're trying to do. So our goal at every match is to see our logo somewhere, no matter if it's USPSA, PRS, every single match. Because yes, we want it to be as popular as we can be, but again, it's driving that attention, which drives the people to our match, which shows the support for the families. So that's the bigger picture. And what you do, if you wanted to become ambassador, you could go on our website, and we have an application you can fill out, and it goes to our director of public relations, Chad Swartout, and he reviews it. He sends it to me and Bryce also, and we see if you're a good fit for what we're trying to do. For the most part, if you're a good person, if you're consistently shooting and you have a good social media presence, you can be an ambassador. And we just ask these ambassadors to tag us on all their posts when it comes to competitive shooting, add us in it, wear some type of logo when you're shooting a match, and that's pretty much it, and be supportive of what we're doing. And we currently, I want to say we have around 30 ambassadors currently all across the United States, from North Carolina all the way to Texas. We're trying to get our reach out to more west, to California if we can. But up in Minnesota, obviously, Wisconsin, all the way down to Florida. So we're spreading throughout the United States. And again, doesn't matter if you're a new shooter, doesn't matter if you're a professional shooter, we're looking for people that are passionate as we are in what we're trying to do for these families and the sport in general. And you're a good person, because we do ask for your Instagram and your Facebook handle, so we kind of check out your page, make sure that it reflects our values and morals of what we're about. So,
And we go on international too.
We do have a Canadian. That is right.
Yeah, very cool. Thanks for filling us in on that. So this is a question, and we'll hit everyone on this one, but this was the 5th annual Memorial 3 Gun. What were some of your guys' emotions going into it? Eric, we'll start with you.
Some emotions. So this was definitely one of my busier years that I've had for an event. So I really didn't get time to reflect on it. But I showed up the day prior to registration open, and it was just showing up. It kind of rejuvenates me personally. And what I mean by that is, like, being away from where the attention is as far as North Carolina, and being the president, you deal with a lot of negativity, like putting out fires. But being there and seeing the support, it just rejuvenates you. And I was so pumped, man. Like, I was so pumped to do this once again, be honored to do it again. And then just seeing the tents going up, the signs, the professionalism that we tried to bring to this match, I was just pumped. And then for our on Thursday, the families fly in, and we have a formal welcome brief per se for them. So our whole board gets up there, and all the families are in the room. And this is our first time we talk to the families as a foundation. And right there, that's when it hits home. Like, I'm humbled to be around them. I'm honored to do this for them, and it brings me back to why we do this every single time when I'm there seeing those families. And I was excited, nervous, all in one, if that's possible. I'm sure we felt that many times. Just nervous to make sure that we're doing the families justice, doing the honorees justice. And then at the same time, we don't talk about the match as much now, because again, we try to make it about the families. But I was nervous that we were putting on a good match for the shooters. I was nervous that, it was what they were deserved by giving up their time, paying the money. We all know how much it is to travel and pay these major match fees, which I was just nervous, man, because at the end of every match, there's always there's some negativity, but you just hope to do everybody justice that they want to return and honor these families, and they have a great time while doing it. So I'll pass off to Austin, if that's okay.
Yeah, I just want to interject real quick. We interviewed Donna Eberly for the Duskin 3 Gun match, and she said something along the similar lines. She said, there's a lot of stress leading up to the event, but on the day of, she wishes like every day could be Duskin Day, because it's just, you're seeing everything come together. It's some really good values, good people coming together. So yeah, really sounds like it was a good event. But Austin, over to you.
Yeah, getting out there the week prior and kind of helping Jason had been out there for months prior, putting the match on the ground. But you have the whole buildup of getting good stages out and getting good targets out for shooters. And it's really just getting to Sunday and meeting the families. For the 5th annual this year, it hit me at actually the Duskin Stevens holds a beef and beer fundraiser right down the road from my house. And Stephen Cribben's father was there. And so we had our tent set up, and then he came up and introduced himself. So Mr. Cribben, my son is one of the honorees this year. And so it kind of hit me early on the weight of this year's match. So it was really cool to see it all come together, but it really, for the 5th annual, is huge to have a great day on Sunday.
For sure. Pat, we'll go with you next.
For me personally, it's kind of like showing up to the match. It's like getting ready to play the Super Bowl, honestly. It's the culmination, especially with the honoree committees working directly with these families. We do so much backside work, getting to know the families, getting them prepped, as well as getting the information pushed out to the rest of the foundation so we can push it out to the public. But for me, it's just the culmination, like my other two, my director, TJ Thomas, and then Annette on the honoree committee. They do a lot of the backside with the families. And then at the match, it's go time for me, dealing with the firearms and RO and safety in the families. And we all know not everybody has shooting experience. Not everybody has the same views on firearms. And for me, honestly, it's nerve wracking. It's mentally, physically exhausting, emotionally exhausting. But for me, honestly, and I know it goes on to a further question down the line, but to these families, when they shoot their stages, it's an emotional roller coaster. But the thing is, when they all get finished, like I would say 99.9% of my families, just the look of pure joy on their face and all the apprehensions they had prior to the match to whenever they're done shooting their loved one stage or side stages. That's what does it for me. Like, we're all volunteer. It's tiring, but at the end of the day, that's all the thanks, payment, anything I could ever ask for. So, I mean, it's crazy emotionally, like I said, all three, mentally, emotionally, physically, and but it's worth it. That's why I do it every year. And then I'd say everybody on the foundation, board wise, has a full-time job. I'm probably the only slacker, but that's like my go time, on average, four days straight every year.
Yeah, for sure. And we do want to bring the question up about the families, but I wanted to get Alex's opinion first. From a competitor standpoint, what were some of the emotions going into the event? And then just give us a quick rundown of how the stages were executed and how that was as a competitor.
So coming in, like, I know it's in the 3-gun world, it's hard to really determine, but for a lot of us, I think we treat Memorial as kind of like the nationals of like 3-gun from the matches that we can go to and we can get out to. The level of participation, just the quality of the match is like at a level where you're coming into something good. Like it's going to be a solid product. Without like getting too deep into the weeds, because I think a lot of people here know me as I can get pretty nerdy when it comes to stage design, but like I'm not gonna freaking burden Eric and Austin with all that stuff. But I like stages that make you think. I like stages that like you're maxing out your 5-minute walkthrough so you can because you always find something better. But most importantly, like when people say options, right? Options are you're giving the shooter a lot of freedom to figure out how they want to attack a stage based off of their strengths and weaknesses. And like the only thing that requires to be able to give the shooter that freedom is extra work from the guy who designs the stages, which honestly like is the best thing you can do for the competitors. It's like, let me create a stage, understand what can or can't happen, base the stage off of that, and give the shooter the freedom to figure out how he wants to do it. And I always love it when you look at his stage and people do it like differently. Like people have like all these crazy stage plans, and it almost comes full circle when you're like, I'm gonna do the simplest stage plan that I have in my head right now, and that usually turns out to be the fastest. And it's fun because it's a nice little like a mental exercise, and it's also a good way to like figure out like who you are. And in the end, like in an evaluation standpoint, it's like it's a good way to figure out what kind of shooter you are when your mind is bogged down by like, okay, cool, freaking, I'm going to do all this and stuff. I got to pay attention to that. So the true shooter in you like comes out like, okay, cool. You screwed up your stage plan and then you end up shooting real crappy. Well, that is who you are. I am sorry, but that is you as a shooter. And it's always wonderful. I'm not saying that I wasn't guilty of that. There were several times that I was like, oh yes, there is wind as my hair is blowing tremendously hard while I'm freaking going to war with like a 300-yard piece of steel. So stages were fantastic. I loved them. Definitely expected it out of this match and was not disappointed. Fantastic product.
Yeah, I want to get over to Austin since he helped make some of the stages, but did you have a favorite stage that stood out, Alex?
So you always have to draw a line between your favorite stage and the stage you did the best on.
You can talk about
sometimes.
Both. Go for it.
I'll talk about both. Okay. There was a I'll narrow it down to one stage. It was that one stage where there was like a little like symmetrical rooftop in the middle of the stage, and there was a bunch of distance steel, and there was like some targets off to the right, and there was a star on the left. It was a pretty complex stage, and that's where I thought of like, all right, I see. I figured out everything that you could do on the stage. I'm going to pick the simplest way to attack this. Shoot this with pistol, dump pistol, grab shotgun, run backwards, reload, shoot shotgun, dump shotgun, grab rifle, and clean everything out. I saw dudes who were like, man, they're trying to find the best position on the rooftop to shoot everything from. And I'm not that experienced, but I understand enough to where multiple deliberate positions is better than trying to figure out like how to really get stable from one position and shoot everything. I was like, hit this, hit that, freaking sidestep to the left, drop into a reverse kneel, hit targets, stand up again, shoot. And I was pretty pleased with my time. Did I have makeups? Yes, but a lot less than the other stages. So that was my favorite. I forgot what number that was, but it was the one, I think it was
7.
Was that 7?
I think it was 7.
Oh yeah, 7. Yeah, I like that. So one of the rare occasions where my favorite stage was also the one I did somewhat okay.
Nice. Austin, you helped create some of the stages. Anything else to add?
My favorite thing is listening to shooters talk about their favorite stage when you're with all 10 and then hear guys break down what their favorite was. I think the preacher stage is always cool. I think just shooting that little stick and seeing the door swing open is just a cool thing for shooters. So I think that was my favorite to watch. And it's just fun to hear guys break down their favorites.
Awesome. Pat, you already talked about this a little bit, but past couple of years, you've been the one escorting the families around, and you've already touched on some of those emotions and some of the interactions. But can you just give us a little more about the experience that you've had escorting families around during the match?
Yeah. So besides escorting, the real nuts and bolts of what I do is so we have a ghost squad set up. So like on our schedule, it's highlighted yellow. It's a ghost squad. So we have you guys shooting first because they shoot fast and furious, and then they get out of the way and they help me and some of my volunteers. I escort the Gold Star family. That's their dedicated stage. It's my responsibility to get them kitted up, to give instruction, safety, all that jazz for that specific stage. As soon as they're done, put up the tailgate of my truck and run to the next stage. And then I meet the escort with that family. Usually always go up, tell the ROs like, hey, so-and-so's family's here. And then, they do the bio, and then we give the families a chance to give us any insider information or, what they'd like us to know. And then they get their walkthrough. Crazy thing, like I said, especially, my former job as a medic, bittersweet retiring because I can't do my job. But now that I'm outside, one of the biggest things is just like Eric said, us having a passion for shooting. If I'm not the one pulling the trigger, I love coaching, mentoring, instructing, helping people become better shooters, or at least pointing them in the better direction if I'm not it. But emotionally, like I said, it's shooters of all skill levels with these families, and watching them shoot. Like I've had families where Like last year, I had a mother of one of our honorees. She's like, I just want to shoot your rifle. I don't care if I hit a target. And I was like, no, I'm going to walk you in on 3 targets. And she hit a 400-yard target with a rifle. You know, I've seen some competitors get crushed by that.
Oh,
And
yeah.
she did it. And she was just like, I'm a little tired now. I'm like, hey, you're not held by anything crazy. If you're done, put it on safe and let it hang, and I'll come safe and clear it. And just the fact that I could be a part of providing that joy on behalf of the foundation, me, it's personally fulfilling. And everybody here has probably been to a memorial. Everybody's like, oh, it's a somber event, you know, all the negative emotions. For these families, it's like everybody's in different stages of grief. But when they come to the event, there's a little bit of sadness, like very little, but there's so much happiness and joy. And you know, people outside the shooting community don't realize how therapeutic sometimes shooting can be. And that's been a common feedback from all of our families. They're like, we didn't know what shooting was, we didn't know what 3-gun was specifically. We did it. We watched some of the pros do it. We didn't know some people were even pros, and just everybody is here for their loved ones. And this is why we do what we do for the match, and this is where it's going. And then you get to see that, like how many foundations you see where your actual donation or whatever have you, where it actually goes. You know, we get to see that firsthand, and it's just a crazy roller coaster of emotions. And my biggest thing is just seeing the joy and happiness, and these families know that everybody at this match is here for them.
That's great. Thank you for that.
No problem.
Hey, Alex. So I want to get your competitor's perspective, and what makes this match special. What is the importance of service team representation from all branches? And do you feel that the balance between tribute and competition was done well?
Well, that's a fantastic question. So service teams, like, to put it simply, like, you know, if you're on an action team, like on part of like a service, this is your guys. Like, these are your guys. These are your dudes. These are your gals. This is where, you know, like, everything kind of like comes together, and like it's a place where we need to be. I believe we need to be present. Like, we're here, like, not just represent, but like we are, our participation is a symbol in itself, because like and I saw all the teams out there, saw the representatives from the Navy team, freaking Air Force, the NGMTC, the guard guys were there, AMU obviously. We took a little family photo afterwards. I forced it. I felt like a mom, but you know, someone's got to do it. But it's, I mean, that, like, I mean, if you kind of peel the, you know, the skin on the onion a little bit, like, all the service teams at the very, you know, in the end, like, directly or indirectly serves the dude on the ground shooting and getting shot at, right? The AMU recruits in order to have those guys to support and or be those guys. Like the Navy and the Air Force guys are you know, same thing as, like, I'm assuming it's like a recruiting tool. At the same time, like, they are moving to a point where they can start training people. And the guard guys, obviously, they're from the NGMTC. That is their job. And on the Marine Corps shooting team, like, in the very end, our purpose is to serve. We are a support structure for the dude on the ground, the dude or the gal on the ground shooting and getting shot at. And, you know, like, you go all the way to the other end, and like events like Memorial 3 Gun, this is something we need to support, you know, because like our support doesn't end with a service, shouldn't have to end with a service member. We got you know, like the people who carry on that legacy, the memories and all that stuff, like, we got to be there to support as well. And on the question of, was there like a balance? Is there, like, should there be a balance between tribute and competition? Well, one, yes, that that balance was there. It was a solid match. Like, in a vacuum, if it was just a match, it would be fantastic. The fact that it is actually a memorial event with a really good match tied into it, makes it like a million times better. And there has to be that balance, because if you're going to memorialize individuals and, you know, put on a good show, and put on a good show of support for the Gold Star families, you can't present a half-ass product. Like you can't just like, okay, cool, freaking we're at a, like not saying this is a thing, but for the sake of argument, okay, cool, we're gonna, we have a bunch of Gold Star families. We will shoot a bunch of targets from a box, dump a gun, shoot a bunch of targets from the same box. It's like, no, this is a full-on event. This is something where we get to showcase ability. This is where we get people to want to come because winning here means something. And it's good for the families to see it. And I saw on one of the stages, like on multiple stages, you see the families watching the competitor just completely wowed. Like, whoa, freaking, that is so cool. And, you have the ROs telling them like, okay, this is what this target is for. This is what this target does. And they're just like, wow, that is amazing. And this kind of bleeds in, and I'm going to end on this, like it kind of bleeds into another question about like the families being there. Like I saw it, just a snapshot in my head of like one of the families, like at the stage I was at, looking at the billboard that has like, their service member on it. But, a bird's eye view, they're at a match to like, where they're being supported for the sacrifices made by the service member. But if I looked at one of the service members' like eyes for a split second, looked at it, and them standing right there in front of the billboard was an important, I guess, I don't know if cornerstone's the right word, but them standing there in front of the billboard, seeing that was an important event in their life. And just that small act, like not even including the actual memorial, like them being there, standing there, seeing a pic of their kid and a bunch of people freaking shooting a stage dedicated to him or her, like it was a significant event, and it's an important one to happen as well. Well, it's a little redundant, but you know what I mean. Like these are the things that I saw at the match. So, and I think that's freaking solid.
Nice. Yeah. Sounds like it was an awesome event. So Zoo City Armory, Griffin Group, and also Grey Ghost Precision have been mainstays of this community and also this event. So, Eric, I'll push this one over to you. Can you just speak to the level of support that you've gotten from those organizations?
Yeah, absolutely. So Grey Ghost Precision, they give us huge support from the beginning. They're actually the main supporters behind us to drive it forward. Again, they give, this year they've given 50 military shooters free slots. So hence when the shooter shows up, they get their entry fee reimbursed. They're huge supporters of the prize table. They donate money to the Gold Star families. They paid staff and ROs this year. The Little Bird stage is courtesy of them. They pay for the Little Bird. They have their side stage, which they have a prize for that. They have a prize for the Little Bird stage itself. Yeah, that's a giant thing of what they do for this match, which is, I can't thank you is not enough for those guys. Griffin Group, they were the ones that kind of got us to where we were as far as how, like, professionalism of the venue. They opened their doors freely to us when in need, and with zero cost. As we progress, we're somewhat of a burden on them, so we pay our fair share of what we need to for the venue, but they continue to give us any support we need. Everybody sees it. Like, how professional is that venue? How many people have an airplane, a 727 at the range and open it up to the public to shoot out of for an event? Same thing for the tower, same thing for the driving stage, same thing for the Little Bird. Like, what range allows you to shoot from a helicopter on their range? And then specifically the professionalism of their headquarters building, which allows us to do the memorial ceremony and the award ceremony with that professional feel, not on the range, or it just gives that dynamic of, yeah, this is a world-class event, and it's because of Griffin Group. And then Zoo City, these are my three, again, I call these my three pillars for the foundation, because without them we would not be where we were. So before Zoo City, we were on the ground, hard sweat, tears, to put these stages on the ground last minute, with no support, with volunteers. Eric Eckhart was his brainchild that he has in his head with the stages were awesome. But again, it was us on the ground having to do that and having to worry about the memorial and these families. So it wasn't sustainable. So Zoo City, thank goodness to these guys. They come in and charge us nothing to these stages in the ground. And if anybody's been out to Carolina Guns and Gear, Jason Barley out there, he is the brainchild. So Alex Goking, when he was just talking about the stages, that's all the options. That's Jason. That's what he does at his local matches. And I'm assuming at his major matches at the Fall Brawl coming up, and then at the spring bash that they put on. That being said, like, it's him and his crew putting the stages on the ground. That is a whole nother aspect that we do not have to worry about. We can focus on the families. We can focus on all the professionals of the event to give you guys this world-class appearance and venue. With that, that's where Austin comes into play, because obviously we want our vision for the match to come to fruition, and that's where Austin comes into play. He gives Jason any support he needs. He makes sure what we envision is being laid on the ground. But again, Zoo City is just huge with the design and the support they give us. But I want to let Austin talk a little more about Zoo City and Griffin Group, because he's the one who deals directly with them. I just know what they've done and who we brought in to help support, but Austin is the man on the ground with that. So
yeah, Zoo City and Three Gun have kind of become synonymous. We're super fortunate if you live in North Carolina to have Jason's Local as your local match, and get to shoot that every month. But I mean, those guys, to him and Griffin Group and Jason's guys from Zoo City are on the ground. I mean, months before the match, walking the ground, they're looking at where stages can go and how to set these things up, and putting a ton of time in so far in advance, where we're still worried about just the logistics of the match and putting it on. They're already looking at stages, getting stages set on the ground and getting targets put out for everybody to shoot. But there's not enough good things you can say about Jason and Zoo City and Griffin Group and everything they do to support our match from their end.
I think we're kind of losing Austin some, but and if you come back and jump in, Austin, but Alex, I would like you to kind of speak to the match flow of the stages, and then I want you to speak to what makes the Griffin Group ideal range to host the event, just because you've seen matches throughout the entire country. I want you to kind of speak specific to this location based on your experiences of shooting all over the country.
So let me see. I'm going to start with match flow, right? So there were the hardest part about having steel at distance is it's really hard to predict how long it would take for a shooter to finish it off. Let's be real. You've seen me shoot distance my first season, and you're probably thinking, "Oh, this guy sucks," or something like that. But
you weren't that bad.
Yeah, freaking. There's still lots of shells somewhere in wherever all the matches. I've blessed the soil with my shells at every range, but even with that going on, we were still flowing through. The ROs and the match directors came up with really quick solutions. Okay, cool. Let's see how how much daylight we can use. But in the end, on the very last day of the match, nobody was necessarily we weren't chasing daylight. The memorial, the ceremony still happened timely. Everyone still got to shoot friggin' their stages. But it's that's a very difficult thing to do in Three Gun, just because of the number of factors you have to deal with. And I thought it was great. We got through, we shot all the stages, still had time to fist bump all the ROs at the end, and obviously it all depends on friggin' if people are there to reset. And sometimes when you have I think if you're under 35 or if you are under 45 and you got some old timers who witnessed the birth of the first red dot site, let's common sense, let's hop in and help out. But yeah, match flowed well. We ended up at the match just chilling, straight vibing, in the words of my Gen Z teammates. It was a great time. It's not just a match. It was an experience, hell of a time.
Are you saying I'm still a young man there, Alex?
How old are you?
39.
What's your MOS?
0369.
You're at least 65 right now. You're at least 65.
I feel it. This could be a round table question for you, Eric, Pat, Austin. But what are the plans like? What are the plans for next year? You know, like same location, same people supporting. Like, what's the vision for next year's match?
So obviously that we're still trying to close up this year, but the vision for next year is always improved, man. We just put out our survey, and we take those very seriously, and that's how we're improving every year. How our feedback's getting better and better and from the public, because we take what the public says and we critique it. Like one of the biggest things this year is the fog. Like I don't since you weren't there, the fog put us back like an hour the first day, which that has that trickle effect.
You can't predict the fog though.
it killed us with time, man. And then so we were an hour and a half behind schedule by the last day. And Austin and Jason in their motorhome like at 9 o'clock at night on Saturday, coming up with the timetable, and then me getting in there trying to adjust to what we needed to do. We pushed everything an hour and a half, and luckily we ended exactly what they said, what time we said. They said that we would end, we ended. But I guess that's our biggest improvement for next year, is figuring out the shooter to time squad matrix ratio, to see if we may need to cut some, to see if we need to stay later. But I'm gonna let Austin, because I don't keep directing it over to him, but he's the brainchild behind how we're gonna improve that. So I'll let him go. He's back, I think.
Yeah, I'm back. Man, there's so many factors that went into it, and the fact that we got done Sunday on time was pretty incredible. When we gave a hard time of when we'd be done shooting, and it was like a minute prior was the last shot. So obviously for next year, if we can control weather, we'll learn how to do that in the next 365 days. We'll do everything we can to control fog. But for what we had for Friday and Saturday for lagging behind and to make it up on Sunday, was really a testament to a lot of brain power that everybody was running out of towards the end of the week, and shooters really moving to reset. But every year just improve and make the match bigger, better, and grow on what we did this year.
No, that's awesome.
I gotta hop in real quick.
Yeah.
An hour and a half of fog. That's wild. Okay, so I had no idea that happened. If that happened, then the match flow was fantastic. Holy shit.
So I think it was like a half hour to an hour of fog, and then just trickled down, because you're not gonna be on time every time. So we have slow resetter squads that were slower than normal. So that's just all combined, and it just hour and a half.
Snowballed.
Yeah.
Okay, now that makes so much sense. Like, holy crap. Oh, dude. I used to think freaking shooting the distance stages first thing in the morning was a good thing. Yeah, I no longer think that.
That's your only peek behind the curtain.
Ooh.
Hey Pat, I want you to talk some more, because I miss your voice and I miss your face, and like we haven't seen each other at all this year. I miss you, brother.
Instagram messages.
Yeah.
I miss you too, bro.
Oh, for those that don't know, me and Pat every single day are sending each other Instagram messages, and they're generally like some crazy memes. But I want you to kind of
Retired dad life.
Yeah, pretty much. Dad bod's coming in. But what's your plans for next year? Like, what are you trying to bring to the table?
So basically, this was the second year in the hot seat doing what I do, and I hate to use the cliche phrase, but just building a better foxhole every year. Just a side note, like how well we do, what we do for the families this year was phenomenal. We have a lot of volunteers that are actually former Gold Star honoree families from years prior. This year, Mike Simpson, for instance, his son was honored in 2020. He's been my helper this year and the year before last. And I had Jake Baker from last year, Keegan Baker's dad from the stage one airplane stage. He was my assistant this year. So I had two assistants, and just getting my time flow because, like I said, a lot of people don't see behind the curtain, and it's just crazy because I'm one stage with one family. A huge part of my responsibility, because you talk about it, having a memorial and a match. With what I do, it's a match within a match, and I do my absolute best not to run over, because yes, this is dedicated for the family. It said time block, but I have to keep everything professional, safe, and prompt, because I don't want to back up the rest of the match. And just it's getting better and better and improving. Sponsors are amazing. Just simple stuff like gear accountability. Like, I hate to say it, I thought I escaped it when I retired, but it's still a thing, especially when I can't afford to replace some of the gear. But it's just small improvements like that. And every year I'm just figuring out bigger and better ways to provide for these families. A big improvement this year, for instance, open shotguns, because as we all know, the worst thing in 3-gun is tube loading. And yes, I'm still a TAC Ops 4, not an open baller yet.
Hey,
So,
I gotta say, I love my
Yeah.
tack up stuff. I want to go as long as I can before I have to be an open shooter.
yeah, I don't want to have to worry about like muzzle velocity on your shells. That's just dumb. It's a shotgun. But yeah, this year I was able to get some open shotguns for the Gold Star families, and it was amazing because like we had some VR80s, so everybody shot the AR, same exact controls, fire controls, and they were just burning it down with shotgun. And I was like, holy crap! Like, stages that had aerials, people were just crushing it, aerial clays, and they're like, wow, I've never shot anything with a shotgun. And it's just doing stuff like this and maintaining continuity is the biggest thing, and just integrating. And then this year, now that Alex knows about the backup, one of the great things is every opportunity, because the 4-4-2 format, I have four families, and two families. But when the families are not shooting their loved one stage or have already shot it, I like to grab TJ. She puts out an all call message. We get all the ambassadors that are available, and we get all the Gold Star families that are available. And we usually pick a side stage that is very much 3-gun instead of just a 1-gun side stage, and they get to compete. And you talk about emotions, like everybody's like, oh, it's a memorial event. Like, there's some inter-family rivalry that goes on, and it gets a little dirty.
Wow.
And it's just awesome because they love shooting, and yeah, it's just awesome. But I mean, it's all in good fun. But I mean, yeah, they get competitive, and it's funny because some of these people, it's their first time shooting one of the 3 guns, if not all 3 guns. So just improving and stuff like that, and then just further improving and hopefully adding on to the shooting experience for them is probably my biggest goal. Just trying to make it simpler, run smoother, and always having contingencies so the families and the competitors don't see any hiccups on the backside or any kind of obstacles. It's just a smooth professional match. And one thing I wanted to capitalize on that we didn't really say much, but everybody that's listened to the match, and Eric's a huge proponent of it, besides being a memorial match, is the family aspect. Like, how many matches have you been to? Like, yes, every major match has a side stage from a vendor, but like, how many matches have food trucks, a bouncy house for kids? Like, it's a full-blown family affair. And I think it's, people have never been to the match. It's like, there are a lot of married guys. It's like, oh, I got this, the wife won't let me go, I got the kids. It's like, no, iPro, near pro, you're signed the waiver, you're good to be on the range. It's just bringing everybody and anybody into the fold outside of just competitors.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, I wish I could have made it out this year.
Now you have no excuses.
No,
Bring your tractor.
oh, how's your tractor doing?
It's running.
It's about time. No, this year. So, like, the reason why I didn't go this year is like literally the day after Memorial 3-gun ended, I started a new job. So, like, literally in the office, like 9 o'clock in the morning, new job. And I've been on the job now for 2 weeks. Tomorrow I gotta Luckily, it's close to home. I'm going to a week-long firearms instructor course because, yeah, I guess I need another one of those in my life. But hey, I'll be on the range at least 2 days this week. Uh, I have talked to quite a few people over the past 2 weeks. Mike Sexton was one of them, Bob Osbeck, just quite a few guys that were out there at Memorial, and they were like, dude, we missed you. We wish you were out there. And it's just like, fuck. I wish I could have been there.
Just saying, the match is annually Clemens Day weekend. So on that resume, your availability date could have been pushed to the right a little bit.
Yeah, I know, but I had already committed. I guess to finish it all off, roundtable again. Is there anyone you guys would like to thank, and anything you'd like to say to the listeners before we sign off tonight? And Eric, we'll start with you.
Yeah, man. So I kind of got some key things I want to hit on. So I want to thank AMU. They're in that GOAT squad that Pat was talking about. They shoot their stage and then they coach the family. So as we all know, when we go to a major match, we're focused on the match, right? Well, these guys have to be focused on the match and then change mindset and be focused on the family. So I just want to thank them. But one of our goals is to get these other brand shooting teams involved in that squad. So Alex, need to talk to you about next year.
No pressure.
No pressure. So nomination forms. Our nomination forms are open for 2023. Again, it has to be a soft background individual, and you have to have permission of the families to fill out that form. And this is all across all branches of the military, not just Army. We look at Marine Force Recon, MARSOC, Navy SEAL, like Air Force JTAC, CCTs, all across the branches. So if you know anybody that's passed away, like please nominate them, because we're trying to keep their memories alive. Going back to our 3 pillars, I can't thank Grey Goose, Griffin Group, and Zoo City for everything they do continuously every year. Without them, there's no way this match would be growing at the pace it is now and as professional it is. So thank you to those guys. Our staff and volunteers, we say it over and over again, thank you is not enough. We try taking care of you guys as much as we physically can while staying true to our mission. So I hope everybody realizes that. If I could give you each $1 million, I would. If I could give you the world, I would, but we have to stay true to our mission, and I can't thank you guys enough. Varick and Luke, I'm going to butcher their last name, BZ?
BC.
Yeah, Varick's the shooter, the Jew shooter, Luke's his dad. And Joy, I can't thank her enough, the mom. They shot the match, but they came out a week prior and helped set up. And the day after, they stayed and cleaned up the entire day with us. And he was a competitor. And his dad, they're raising that kid right because he made signs for the families each too. So he went above and beyond every year for these families and the match. So I can't thank them enough. Our Gold Star families that volunteered, specifically the Baker family, you mentioned them, Mac. They came back out and volunteered.
Oh wow!
They worked. They were being workhorses, man. We were putting them to work. They were lifting stuff, putting stuff into the ground, and stayed after the match again and helped tear down. So can't thank them enough. Chris over at Blazon, he brought his kids out to help witness what we're doing. He does it every year. He came out, witnessed what we're doing, and stayed Monday to help tear down. So again, can't thank those guys enough. Our board, I say it over and over, and I really hope the listeners hear this. We are all volunteer. Like everything that we do, we come out of pocket for a lot of stuff. We don't get paid to do this. We take time out of our schedule to do this. And again, it's not about us. We're not making this about us, but I just want the public to know, like we're volunteers just as all the other people volunteering too. And I can't thank my board enough for the time they put aside and the selfless service they give to these families and this foundation. So Austin, Pat, you guys are on here. I say it over and over. I really hope you guys feel appreciated. And I can't thank you guys enough for what you guys do year after year, man. And lastly, our Gold Star families, man. Like we would not be able to do this if they didn't give us the permission to honor their loved ones. And it's a leap of faith. And I say this to the families when we in that welcome brief. They have no idea what 3-gun is. Most of the time, they've never even heard of our foundation. And we ask them, we announce this, but we can't afford to pay for their travel. So it's a leap of faith on their end to come out, put money and pay to come travel to this event for the weekend. Yes, we donate at the end of the month, at the end of the event, a donation check, which, graciously, because of the competitors and the donors, we're able to give 10 grand each. But still, beforehand, though, it's a leap of faith. They don't know what they're getting into. They don't know who we're about, what we're about. So I can't thank those families enough to putting the trust in us to allow us to do this every year. But yeah, thank you to everybody for your support, continued support. We're trying to get better. We're doing what we can. But again, trying to give you a great match while at the same time honoring these fallen special operations soldiers, the well-deserved respect they deserve. So thank you.
Before I send it over to Pat, I wanted to make two mentions. To one, all my Marine listeners, if you know anybody in recon, force recon, MARSOC, and to kind of go off of what Eric said, nominations are up for next year. Like, I know from talking to these guys, like, there's been a lack of participation in nominations, I guess you could say, from the Marine side. So let's make that wrong or right and get some kind of support out to these families on MARSOC and Recon, Force Recon, for the Gold Star families. And then I just want to make a special mention, because I know Chris Donahue has been in the hospital over the past week. He's a guy, I've known him for about 2 years now. He's a guy that goes out there, he's a competitor. He's a guy who's given a very large part of his life to the Memorial 3-Gun Foundation. He was hospitalized this week. He is okay now, but I just want to make a special mention of that and wish him well as he continues his recovery. And Pat, if it's on you now.
Yeah, Eric stole like 80% of my talking points, but no, just we can't say it enough. Thanks to everybody who supports this match and foundation in any capacity. Me personally, my biggest thanks every year, the Gold Star families that, as Eric says, take that leap of faith, and specifically with me, to trust me to hand you a loaded firearm and to be safe. And it's amazing what we do with the match and the foundation. And competed longer than I said, but 3-gun only honestly the last 3 years. And just watching this foundation grow and do what we do, and it's amazing. And for me, it's legitimately, it adds to my passion, and it legitimately has given me another purpose in life, post-military career, because that's all I knew prior to retirement. But I just want to thank literally anybody and everybody. As with most or any other organization, there are plenty of people mentioned that don't want to be mentioned. Silent donors are awesome. Just thanks to everyone who participates. And thank you for having us on here.
Oh, absolutely. It's our pleasure. Austin.
I've got nobody left to thank now after both of them.
You're welcome.
The match doesn't happen without Gold Star families trusting us to memorialize their loved ones. So we've got to thank them. And then the match also doesn't happen without a massive group of sponsors and volunteers that get out and work their butts off the week prior, the months prior, and help get this thing going. So thanks to everybody. Huge thanks to Griffith Group and Zoo City and Gray Ghost, like we said before. And anybody that's out on the range driving stakes and putting up banners and hanging targets, man, the match doesn't happen without them.
Alex.
Hey, I'm gonna thank you guys, like Memorial 3-Gun, like we already discussed, like the stuff you guys do for the Gold Star families is just like next level. The this year, that lady who did that poem, like, I'll be honest, freaking, I was standing off to the side, freaking felt like I got freaking like a saber stabbed right through me, man. I was just like, shit. And yeah, like, if I could get a copy of that, that'd be wild. But I think, on top of that, I think one thing I don't think we even discussed is, like, for the active duty guys, just like standing around, it's grounding. Like, before each stage, you're, like, you get the stage brief, but you also go through the service member who is, who the stage is dedicated to. It's grounding. It's like you sit there and everything is like silent, like everything inside and outside is like silent. You're just sitting there like, whoa,
I mean, And even like another part that's really grounding is like you guys have the banners set up with the families, and like every single person in that match signs that banner. And I don't think we talked about that, but like every single person signs that banner that participated in that match. And like, as a service team, me looking, memorializing the previous events I've been to, signing that banner as the Marine Corps shooting team, as a representative of the Marine Corps shooting team. And I know the AMU is the same way. It's like, it's almost a badge of honor, like that you get to be a special part of somebody's life. And it's a memory that they'll always have.
I definitely second that. Eric hasn't killed me yet. Try not to start too big of fires. But yeah, next year we'll have an easel, so I don't have to hold up the banners the whole time. But yeah, it's a huge thing, Matt. Like, good. Thanks for bringing that up. It's huge. We present the family plaque for their loved one. But yeah, we roll up that banner and hand it to the families, and then they reflect on it. And I still maintain contact with some of the families that are still interested in shooting further. And they just, once in a blue moon, they'll send me a picture message with their little memorial section in their living quarters. And it's like, I'll never forget this and what you guys have done for me. What can I do to help out?
And before we sign off here, I'm good. I'll be honest with everybody. Everybody's seen me with this cup here, and if you're on YouTube, yeah, you've seen me. I'm about 3 or 4 bourbons in today, but I do want to give a special shout out to Zoo City Armory, and Griffin Group, like Sherb and Jason and Chris Brower. Like, those guys really nail a lot of that stuff out of the park, to create creativity out of them. And they have done a lot to support me and support these events. And they're just world-class people and world-class organizations that take care of everybody. They, like, the selflessness, I guess you can say, it kind of represents everything that we learn in the service. So I wanted to thank them personally, and I really wish I could have been out there with you guys, because it sounds like it was just another one of those special events, like it has been in previous years. And I want to thank you guys for coming on here.
Thanks, brother.
Appreciate it, Matt. Yeah, thank you for having us on, brother.
Hey, Frank, you
Yeah,
got
thanks for having
anything?
Nothing else from me. I thought this was a great episode and glad we managed to make it work.
Yeah. I think this is the most we've had on. So like having to like coordinate everybody at the same time, it's been kind of crazy, but thanks again. I appreciate all of you guys coming out here and talking about the event. And, it's kind of all of our mission to spread the message, but I think this is a great way that we can spread that message. So listeners, I hope you really enjoy this. If you have any questions about the event, I'll have contact information for the Memorial 3-Gun Foundation through Instagram, Facebook. Hit me up. Hit the 3GIQ Instagram or Facebook page up. We regularly monitor our messages and all that. So if you have any information, if you want to make donations, if you want to support in any way, just let us know, and we'll put you toward the right people. Thanks, and have a great one.